Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Jeff back here with Project Xylus. We are in part 7 of the DIY wide body project. We are moving along really nicely, as you can see. Happy to say the passenger side flare sculpt is now 100%. I have done everything that I can possibly do on this sculpt right here to get it looking the way that I want it, get it matched up with the other side as closely as possible. Go back and watch some of those other videos to see exactly how I did it. And we are about as close as I can humanly get to the result that I'm satisfied with. So as you can see, I detailed out the gas cap area there. I'm going to show you a couple of other little montage shots so you can get a really good look at all the detail on this thing, but you probably already have a pretty good idea of what it looks like. It looks exactly like the other one, except for it has a gas cap area. I'm just really happy with it. It took a long time. You know, here's the thing with me is I'm such a detail-oriented guy. Like, I don't like to settle for for just good enough. I like to push it above and beyond that if I can. If I see one little thing that I don't like, I will spend sometimes up to an hour or two just working on that little area just to get it, you know, perfectly sculpted the way I want it, smoothed out or fixed or adjusted or resized or whatever it is. I'm the type that will take the time to do that, and it's not always a good thing. It's good to be a perfectionist in some ways, but in other ways it's not, because if you have deadlines and things like that, it can get you in trouble. But in my case, I don't necessarily have any deadlines to meet except for getting you guys out videos more frequently, which I do need to make more of an effort to do that. I am sorry, but I'm trying to get at least one out per week for you guys. But the detail thing, man, being a detail guy has really kind of made me take a little bit more time on this than I had hoped. But it's paid off. It's looking freaking awesome. So let me show you guys a little bit of detail on this thing, give you guys a little montage. Hope you enjoy. Check it out. Alright, so what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below if you're liking the design of this flare. I'm thinking it's going to be absolutely phenomenal when it's all painted and all done. It's just, of course, it's my opinion, it's my sculpt, it's my design, so of course I'm going to say that, but I do think it's going to look awesome, and I hope a lot of you guys will agree. Hope all of you will agree, but I'll settle for a lot of you. Anyways, what's going to happen at this point is we're going to go ahead and move on and make the mold for the passenger side at this point. It's going to be the exact same process as we did on the other one to make this one. Same exact thing. We're going to apply the release agents directly over the clay. That's the PVA and the wax. We used the Meguiar's mold release wax and the PVA. We did 2 coats of PVA and about 3 coats of the wax, I want to say, if I remember correctly. I really should write this stuff down, but I don't. But we're going to go ahead and let the mold release set on there, make sure the PVA is nice and dry to a nice touchable finish, and then we're going to go ahead and apply the gel coat. Now we're using the tooling gel coat, the orange tooling gel coat, as we did last time. Going to do the exact same layup, just put it on there. Going to do probably 2 coats of the gel coat on there, and then the fiberglass over the top of the gel coat to strengthen up the gel coat layer. 2 layers of the cloth fiberglass. That's 6-ounce cloth fiberglass will get the job done. We'll let that cure, and then we'll pull the sucker off, and then start the process of pulling it out of the mold and casting in a white gel coat, white unwaxed gel coat copy into the mold, and then 2 layers of 6-ounce fiberglass cloth on top of that, and then we'll pull that out, do the refining, etc., etc. It's going to be the same exact process all over again, only this time I have learned from a lot of the mistakes that I made the first time, such as not putting enough gel coat into the mold. I'm going to double the amount of gel coat, maybe not quite double, but I'm definitely going to add more gel coat into the first layer into the mold than I did with the first one. That way I don't have to worry quite so much about sanding through the gel coat down into the fiberglass. And I may even throw 1 more layer of fiberglass in. I think we did 2 layers last time. I may do 3, and if not, I'll probably just strategically place an extra little layer of fiberglass in some certain areas that I felt like I was having trouble with last time. So that's what's going to happen this time. Before I get to that, I've got to straighten up my masking just a little bit. Around the edges here, I had to take a knife to really straighten out a lot of the edges, get them nice and sharp and all that. And in doing so, I actually cut through the tin foil in a couple of areas. And so I'm going to go ahead and just seal those little holes, seal those little areas, any areas of the tin foil that ripped while I was sculpting, or any problem areas in the masking. I'm going to go ahead and address right now, and that way I won't have to worry about the gel coat getting through the masking and into the paint and ruining my paint. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get to that. Gas cap is perfect. It works great. I tested many different ways to make sure that it opens and closes, and this is exactly the result that I was happy with. I didn't want to go too crazy and do like a huge curve around it or anything like that. I wanted it to have a little bit of that curve, enough so that it creates the clearance in the gas cap there, but still, kind of conservative with the design of it. And I think it came out really good. Hopefully you guys got a good look at that in the montage. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. I got to remask the gas cap itself, and again just fix up those little holes, and then we'll get this thing molded. Let's get to it. So as I'm getting started on my masking here, back at the gas cap, I carefully went ahead and removed just this little circular section of tin foil, and it was really easy to do. All I did is just take my finger and just kind of press down so I could see the indentation of the seam around the cap itself in the foil, and then I just took my knife and carefully cut around that seam. Again, being careful not to cut into the paint or anything like that. But what I ended up with was this nice little circular, perfectly circular section right here, and it has a little piece of tape right there on the back of it, so that's going to be really easy to just pop right back on there. And then I will take a piece of foil tape and I'll just foil up that little seam right around there. We want to be very careful not to get any gel coat down into the seam. We don't want that dripping in there, and it can be pretty drippy, so you want to make sure you take care of any little holes or anything like that. We're going to be doing the same thing along the edges too, where my knife got through the tin foil, and probably just one little seam of foil tape all the way around the whole thing just to be sure, and that should take care of it, no problem. One other thing I did want to mention as well that is different with this sculpt as opposed to the sculpt that was on the other side is that the areas on the inside of the flare, inside the wheel well that's these areas right here that you can see on the other flare, I went ahead and just sculpted those right into the initial sculpt here. Instead of going in after the fact and fiberglassing them in as I did with that one, I just went ahead and saved myself the time and that saved myself the step and just put them right into the sculpt. So this is what they look like. Kind of dark under here, but so you can see I just went ahead and sculpted them right in. That's the front portion, and then the back portion is a little bit more minimal than I did on the other sculpt. So what I'm going to end up doing is, because I like this design even better than this design right here, I'm going to end up trimming some of this down right here so there's not so much excess fiberglass in there. I'm going to make it look exactly like I sculpted on this side. So very, very minimal difference, but you know, once again, I'm a perfectionist, so I like things to be perfect the way that I like them anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sealing up all my masking, and then we'll get the mold release agents on there and get going with the mold. Alright, so the gel coat is all applied now. We just got to let it cure. Same thing as the other side. I'm going to let it cure overnight. Come out here tomorrow, sand it down a little bit, and then throw the 2 layers of fiberglass on top, Once the mold is all complete, we'll pull the thing off the car, pull the clay out, and start making another positive. So with the gel coat fully cured, I've gone in with the 2 layers of 6-ounce fiberglass. It's almost completely cured at this point. You can hear I'm knocking on it there, so it's getting pretty hard. Still needs about 1 more hour to cure before I'm able to pull this thing off the car, but it won't be long, guys. I'll be pulling it off, taking the clay out, and get ready to make a new positive of the passenger side. Moving right along here. It's gonna be dope. All right, the fiberglass is as hard as it's gonna get. Time to pull this thing off the car and get the clay out of it.
So what would it take to share your one disguise, to finally reach and touch the
Alright, so we got the sculpt and the mold off of the car. As you can see, just like the other side, no damage to the paint. Hopefully you can see that. Still a little bit of residue and stuff on there from some tape and, you know, a little bit of the PVA that was dripping around and stuff like that, which will dissolve instantly in water, so no problem whatsoever. Very happy. Again, this kind of protection is due to proper masking. You want to make sure you properly mask off. If you're doing this directly on your car on paint that you plan on saving, make sure you mask it off properly. It's going to save you all kinds of hurt. Perfectly good on this side. We're good on the other side. Eventually I am going to repaint the car anyways, but I'm not going to have to do that right away because we did properly mask everything, and once the car is out of the garage and I'm able to spray it all off and get a good wash on it, it's going to look absolutely pristine. Looking forward to it. But as for now, let's go over and start taking the clay out of the mold. I'm very excited to see what the mold condition is like. Hopefully it's better than the last one. Maybe, maybe not, but we'll have to see. If it's not quite as good as I want it to be, I may end up doing some corrections to the mold even before I do a cast into it. If there's any kind of areas where there's any kind of rising that we got like last time, I'm gonna actually go ahead and body fill those directly into the mold. That way it'll save me the step of having to sand those out when I get the positive pulled out of it. So hopefully there's not too much of it, but let's go find out. Yo, so this mold came out even better than the first one. There is absolutely no rising, no imperfections, no real serious imperfections anyways. This thing is looking fantastic. Like the last time, most of the clay came out in one big piece. I actually had to cut it in segments because it just gets so heavy. Try to pull the whole thing out, it's gonna fall on the ground and get all dirty and all that. So I cut it into about 3 major pieces, and then it all pretty much just came out in those big pieces. And again, I didn't just ball it all up, I just laid it out flat because I'm going to end up rinsing it off with the water to get the PVA and all that, because I will be needing that clay to do the fronts. But this mold is looking absolutely fantastic. Like I said, better than the first one. I'm very, very happy about this. Still have a little bit of cleanup to do here. I got a little bit of clay to take out of the gas cap area and of course in the edges and all that, just like the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that cleaning cast just like I did the first time. I'm going to just go ahead and do a very, very light coat of gel coat in the mold here, and then I'm going to pull that out before it's even done curing. I don't even need to wait for it to cure all the way. I'm going to pull it all out so it can pull out all the little clay and the edges and stuff, the stuff that I'm not able to extract by hand. That will just help me to clean it out really well And then when I go in to do my first real cast, I'm gonna actually use a different release agent this time. I'm gonna give it's a stuff called Fiberrelease from a company called Fiberglass, a very well-known composite company online. And I've never used it before, so I don't know how effective it's gonna be, but supposedly it's a one-shot mold release, as opposed to using the PVA and the wax like we did last time. It's a one shot, so you just spray it in, and then you put your gel coat in, and it's supposed to be even better than the wax and PVA. So we're gonna give that a shot this time. It's supposed to be good for multiple pulls too in one application. So we're gonna put that to the test, but we'll see. We'll see how it works out. Hopefully it works out good. And yeah, this is looking good, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a cleaning cast and get some of the clay out of the edges here, and then we're gonna move on. Hey Mike, what's going on, buddy?
By to see what's the next thing is, what stage you're in.
So this is the mold for the passenger rear fender flare. That's the driver's side mold right there.
What's that hole?
That's the gas cap.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So it goes over the gas cap. This is the cast, the prototype cast for the driver's side. This is what they look like that. So I just finished sculpting the passenger side and molded it last night. So I just demolded the clay and all that. So I'm about to cast white gel coat into it. Pull out a positive like this, and it's double 6-ounce fiberglass in the back.
That one's done.
No, this is the prototype. So I'm gonna make a final mold.
Oh, you just did
Yeah,
that?
I gotta make a prototype,
Gotta
get them
figure it
all
out.
body filled and perfectly shaped and all that. Make sure it's perfect just the way I like it. You know, all the detail, like the rivet points and all that. Get it all detailed, and then I'll make a final mold. And then those will be the perfect ones. Those will be the finals. Yep. So
Two stages, two steps.
yep, 2 stages, 2 molds for each one. And I got to do the fronts as well. Got to sculpt those. I haven't even started sculpting those yet, but it's coming along, man. So,
How long does it take you to make them?
Once I have the
I'll cut
molds,
hours.
once I have the molds, I can pull one in a day. No problem. Pull a full set in a day. You know, it just takes 24 hours to cure. You know, just white gel coat and 2 layers of fiberglass. The hard part is making them. You know,
Yeah.
making the initial molds. You know, that's what takes all the time.
Where'd you get the design to make them?
It's all from scratch.
Oh, you did?
Yep, everything is hand sculpted in clay. And then it's.
You're not gonna cut hair no more?
I'm still cutting hair.
Well,
I'm doing it on
at a grand a piece, man. I don't know.
Oh, I know. I'm just gonna open all kinds of doors. I know. We'll see what happens.
That's one thing that's great about YouTube. It does open those doors for these type of things.
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
Exactly. These flares, I gotta actually cut the. the fenders. I gotta cut about an inch.
Ouch.
Yeah. I gotta cut them, and then when I mount the flare on there, the car can get real low.
Right.
You know, if I try to, of course, it's on the air suspension. If I try to air out.
Yeah, because those tires sit out.
Exactly. That hence why I'm building the wide body. So I got to cut this front and the back, and so I need a cutoff wheel.
Are you gonna cut it right where it bends down?
Yeah, pretty much just like right where that line
Right where
is.
that line is?
Yep. Just like that, and then on the back, pretty much the same thing, about an inch around the well. There's actually a double skin, not on the front, but in the back. There's 2 layers of steel.
Yeah.
Right? There's an outer and then there's an inner. So I'm just cutting the outer one, and I'm leaving the inner one, so there'll be the exposed inner one. Then I gotta cut like almost pie sections into it and fold it up, and then I gotta tack weld the 2 pieces back together again, and then cut off the flaps, and then seal it with a silicone so it doesn't rust, obviously.
Yeah.
These actually encompass the entire back portion of the quarter panel, so you wouldn't see it.
That's a unibody, right? Because that fender doesn't come off.
It does not. No. So it's going to be modified for sure. Not only is it going to be cut, but I'm putting rivets, putting holes
Yeah.
right through the quarter panel along the shape. But I mean, they'll never come off the car again once I put them on. I mean, I could take them off, but that's
Stainless rivet.
exactly, absolutely. I'm going to go for titanium hardware.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
They'll see the finished work. People will see
Oh,
the
yeah.
finished. Oh, man, like, I want to do that.
exactly.
And I always, because I used to take cars to car shows and bikes, and hey, I want to do that. And I kind of would just laugh. I was
Yeah,
like,
you
you
wanna-
don't realize that little section, how many hours
Yeah.
we put into just getting that.
Exactly. It's
Chasing
I've lost count
parts,
of how
doing
many
this,
hours I put
doing
in
that.
these cars.
People don't,
No.
you know, people that don't ever, that have never done it, they think they can just go and do it. It's like, you don't have a clue.
Nope.
There's some stuff that you're stuck on for days that can't even be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't even be seen.
Can't even see it,
What
and
you have to
yep,
go
how many
through to
hours.
get it right. It's
Exactly.
like, and I kind of laugh when I hear them. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, well, good luck with that.
I know, exactly.